I don't often read books, so when I do, you know they've got to be very special reads. Keep that comment in mind as I begin to explain this book. It is titled Habitudes. I'm sure you're wondering, she's saying that word correctly? I promise you, I am. The word habitude is described as a tendency or a way of behaving. This specific book talks about ways of behaving that are beneficial and not so beneficial for leaders. The best part about this book, though, it's a book full of dun 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 pictures. That's right, pictures. National FFA and growing leaders use recognizable images to teach about agriculture and create leaders. Some of these recognizable images: a faded flag, a yearbook, a house on fire, and a flooded town. I'm sure each of you imagined those images as I spoke them. So did I. The image that stood out to me the most, the picture of the flooded town. I'm sure most of us have seen the news where a natural disaster strikes an area and leaves a town underwater. Some of those examples of floods right here in Illinois in the past few years are Peru, Illinois, in May 2020. Alton, Illinois, in May of 2019. Freeport, Illinois, in February of 2018. And one that hits a little closer to home, August of 1993. Mueller, Illinois. The waters right around Mueller of the Mississippi were at dangerous levels. People began to prepare the levees, pack sandbags, haul grain, move livestock, pack their valuables, and prepare for a flood that would soon change their way of life. In July, families not only moved out of their homes, they also sat and awaited the inevitable. On the first day of August in 1993, news spread like wildfire. A levee had breached just north, and water was headed straight toward the town. My family's home was one of the first to be almost completely submerged in floodwater. That floodwater reached far beyond Mueller. The levee broke just 2 miles from my home. A moment that shocked people all across the nation was taken on that day. That was this moment.
Collapsed underneath, and the roof and the contents are now washing away in that flood water. Oh, Jeff, it's unbelievable. There it goes. Just now lifted off the foundation, and it's just crumbling in the rapid and the violent waters here.
If the pictures didn't put into perspective just how serious floods are, I'm sure the video probably did. Although I wasn't alive to see the flood of 1993, I've definitely had my fair share of moments with the Mississippi. Not only do my upstairs cabinets have watermarks from where the floodwaters reached in 1993, but I've also had to move out of my house twice in case of a flood. Once in 2015 and again in 2019. Luckily, both times were just precautionary. But the results of the 1993 flood impacted not only people in that time, not only an entire town, but it will continue to affect people for generations to come. You see, after the flood, Mueller residents picked up their lives and moved the entire town on top of the bluffs out of the river valley, creating 2 Muellers, in Old Mueller in the bottoms and a new Mueller in the hills. I'm sure you're wondering why I'm giving you a history lesson, and the answer is simple. I wanted to put an image in your mind, just like Habitudes put one in mine. Habitudes use the example of floods and rivers to describe leaders that are focused and leaders that tend to wander. Rivers are powerful and often useful if they remain in their boundaries and at certain levels. Floods, on the other hand, are dangerous and can cause damage because flood water is water that is misplaced. Leaders and organizations can easily be substituted into this analogy. When organizations first begin, they focus on creating an image, leadership, and certain activities. They're often successful in these endeavors because they are focused. When these organizations first begin and focus on their purpose, they are rivers. Oftentimes, though, after a while, goals begin to blur, and ideas are no longer focused. Groups begin to lose their original image. This moment, when the group loses their image, is the moment the levee breaks. Now, you may think expanding is wonderful, and if expanding focuses on the original image, it can be wonderful for an organization. But if the expanding turns to wandering and strays away from the original purpose, there becomes no boundaries and the path is blurred. There are no rules, no focus, and no way to go. Once a group reaches this point, their purpose is questioned. Once the purpose is questioned, there's a flood. Stagnant water, not going anywhere. Some of us may have heard of the company Gucci. If we haven't heard of Gucci, Gucci is a company that prides itself on its exclusive status to the wealthy. They sell clothing, shoes, purses, and seems to be the most popular one lately, belts. Let's imagine Gucci starts selling their products at Walmart with drastically reduced prices. Two things will happen. One, Gucci will lose their exclusive status, and two, they'll lose the respect and business of their wealthy customers. This may be nice for a common consumer, however, it would be the end of Gucci as we know it. You may be wondering, what on earth do floods, rivers, levees, and Gucci have to do with our FFA chapters? Well, I'm here to tell you. FFA chapters begin with different goals in mind. However, all FFA chapters are united under one national organization whose ideals have remained the same for over 90 years. Are you wondering what those ideals are? I've got that one too. Their ideals are to serve communities, create leaders, and advocate for agriculture. Now, each individual FFA chapter focuses on a specific piece of the overall mission. Some examples? Maybe it's Olney and Prairie Central with CDE focus. Maybe it's Waterloo and Cambridge with the National Chapter Award focus. Or maybe it's Taylorville with stars. Other chapters all across the state and the nation maybe focus on community involvement and classroom activities. But when each individual FFA chapter focuses on their purpose and focuses on their specific aspect, they can prosper in that area. The same can be related to us individually. We were each put on this earth for a reason. But if we stray from what we are here to do, we lose our image. We become like a flood, stagnant and no way to go. So tonight, this year, I dare not only your FFA chapter, but you individually to find your purpose, focus on it, and keep flowing. Thank you.